Hi Badlands Yogis. Christine here, just back from a walk. Something that you may or may not know about me is that I am no evidence of disease, NED, from cancer 6 years ago. And as a result of that cancer, I have lymphedema on this side of my body. And I keep it under control with several things. Both my husband and I have been trained in manual massage therapy, lymphatic massage therapy, and I have a machine that looks a little bit like the Michelin Man that I crawl into, and it pumps my lymph around for me. And I walk. So that's the number one thing that I wanted to mention today. If you are a person with lymphedema, mine happens to affect my arm and then sort of this general area in the upper section of my back, because my cancer was a breast cancer and my treatment was in that area. When I walk 10,000 steps a day, it's easy sailing for me. When I don't walk 10,000 steps a day, there's a chance. And my diet slipping makes that chance higher. Higher stress makes that higher. There's a chance that my lymphedema is going to act up. For those of you who don't know what lymphedema is, the lymphatic vessels that are just under our skin can be damaged. Mine was radiation damage by some treatments for cancer. And it's sort of taking some damage for a lot of protection, and that was we knew that was a potential side effect. When the lymphatic vessels in an area are damaged, then the lymph that would usually drain that way can get backed up, and it causes swelling, and it can be remarkably painful. So walking 10,000 steps a day is one of my secret weapons. Wearing the sleeve, of course, anybody who's had lymphedema before knows this goes up in their arm, goes up to here, and then I have compression in my chest as well. So that's another secret weapon, but you probably already know about that if you have lymphedema. The other one is the joint freeing series. So what I did last night to help with this, aside from wearing the compression sleeve, was in my bed when I woke up and it was bothering me. I did the joint freeing series for my arms. So I was laying down at the time. You can do this sitting up, standing up. You can do it dancing. Inhale and bring your fingernails back. And exhale, and you're gonna curl you don't have to move your arms out like this, but you're gonna curl your fingers under like a C. So they're pointing back to you. You're gonna get a good stretch here. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, let your belly expand, spread your fingers out, exhale under. So this is the series for the arms. If you have a case of lymphedema that's been active for very long, you're going to want to do the whole series. This video will be the lymphedema series for the arms. And then inhale and turn your palms up. Inhale and bring your thumbs back. Exhale and bring your pinkies in. Inhale. The thumb side comes back, and imagine you're holding like a cup of tea in your hand, and exhale, pinkies in, and you're trying not to spill the tea. And then after about 6 breaths like that, you're going to make light fists. Inhale, circle up. Exhale, circle under. You do want your breaths, you can reverse, to be fairly deep. take a minute to breathe and move with the breath. Your breath is one of the primary pumps of your lymphatic system, along with movement, which is why walking is so important. Inhale and open your palms. This one's for the elbows themselves. Exhale and bring your knuckles toward your shoulders. Sometimes a dog joins you. Inhale out, pet the dog. Exhale in. I couldn't get my fingers anywhere near my shoulder on this side last night. I haven't had a flare-up like this in years, probably 5 years after I got the initial flare-up managed. Inhale out, exhale in. This one is the first one for the shoulders, so you just leave your knuckles on your shoulders. Inhale apart, exhale together. Notice I'm not making a dog tilt out of my back or doing cat back here. So my spine is stable. My dog is walking. And I'm just moving those shoulder joints. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, you're gonna turn your upper arm bones so that you go from cactus arms to scarecrow arms. Inhale, cactus. Exhale, scarecrow. So I also want you to notice with this one, if you go far back, sometimes your shoulder blades will come up. So it's worthwhile, depending upon what you're feeling, and you'll know when you feel it. It's worthwhile to do 6, allowing the shoulder blades to move quite a lot. And then 6, trying to keep your shoulder blades relatively stable on your back. You can think of pulling them a little bit together and a little bit down. And then just focusing on turning the arm bone, because the arm bone seats like this into a very shallow socket on the inside of it's the lateral aspect, so the aspect toward your rib cage, and the inside, so it's toward your rib cage, that socket is. And so your shoulder joint is a fairly complex joint, kind of like this dog. Very complex. The final motion for the shoulders is to reach up and back and exhale down and under. And yes, he's been fed and he has water. Inhale up, exhale down and under. And again, I'm not leaning back and I'm not leaning forward. These are reminiscent of wood choppers. They're slightly different, so the motion is a little bit more controlled. So I use the joint freeing series, Pavamuktasana, taught to me by Mukunda Stiles. You can also see it in his book, Structural Yoga Therapy. I use it to manage my lymphedema. One of the ways that it works is that it helps to move lymph through the joints of the body. And we're just going to go ahead and do the spine next. Whenever I sit cross-legged, I like to elevate my hips. We're going to inhale and scoop the heart forward. In this case, you do want to flex and you want to extend and flex the spine. Inhale, scoop your heart forward. Exhale, back. So basically what the series does is it moves every joint in the body, if you do the full series, in all of its natural range of motions, about 6 times with the breath. So it's with a very slow, even breath. So for instance, one of the things that I'll often see people do at the beginning is like with the wrist circles, they'll do this. It's great. I mean, if that feels good, move your body how you want to. For our purposes, it's most helpful to move with the breath. So do one part of the circle on a nice slow inhale, and do the other part of the circle on a nice slow exhale, and then reverse. And the same way with all these other movements. We're doing the spine now. Exhale over. This is also incredibly helpful. Exhale, laterally flexing, pardon me, the spine. Our lymph is moved by movement and breath. And the motion of the joints is very helpful for moving it. The lymphatic fluid is also an integral part of the extracellular matrix, which is one way that the fascial system is being talked about right now. So this has an effect on your inner bodysuit. It's an inner 3D bodysuit. It's not just a saran wrapper. And it affects the elasticity of that entire system. And then we're going to twist the spine, and we're going to reverse the cross of the legs for this. So inhale and turn your rib cage relative to the pelvis, and only if it feels good, put some gentle pressure into the twist. Inhale through to the other side and exhale into the twist. I've had this help tremendously with pain. I was also born with a birth defect of my legs, feet, and hips that, among other things, necessitated a hip replacement when I was 43, a little over a decade ago. And leading up to the hip replacement, I had a lot of pain. The joint was pretty bad. And this was one of my go-tos back then as well. When I have clients with pain, I will often suggest that they do this every morning, the full series, which we'll do on another video, for a week. And the pain is very often substantially different by the end of the week. So that is the arm and spine portion of the joint freeing series. And that's a little bit about why I use it, how I use it for other people, and how I take care of lymphedema. The other thing I want you to take away from this is that yogis get, we get challenges all the time. Yoga isn't a method of not ever having a challenge, a health challenge, or not ever having pain, illness, and disability. But yoga does provide us with the tools for recovering our original wholeness in the midst of all of that. Thank you for sharing these tools with me. Thank you for sharing time with Goose the dog. He is our 1.5-year-old Samoyed. And I'm going to turn this. It's not going to work. Okay. There's Goose the dog playing with his toys. Here at the end, I'm going to remind you that it's not yoga if there's no Shavasana. Shavasana is final resting pose because we are all going to die. Shavasana literally translates as corpse. And yoga doesn't say we're going to live forever, we're going to live pain-free, or we're going to live without illness or suffering. But it does say we're going to practice. We're going to practice so that we have as full a life, as deeply grounded in the wholeness of our being while we have it as we can. Having an illness, having an injury, having limitations doesn't affect our original being, our original, some people would call it purity. I keep using the word wholeness because that's the best word I know for it. We are well at our cores, even when, and this is something that I first really felt and witnessed as a paramedic. People in the extremities of life are well in some respect. And when they feel it or feel it being seen, it has an effect that is healing, although not curative. It has an effect that is helpful. It's the root word of health is wholeness. And it's also the root word for holiness. They're connected. And whether or not you believe in spirituality, there is a place in each of us that we can come home to. And yoga is a technology for coming home to that. So that's what I mean by healing in yoga. And that's why I say it's not yoga if there is no Shavasana. So if you haven't already, and you don't have a dog on your yoga mat, I'm just going to lay down around my dog. Lay down. Now, the traditional posture for Shavasana is laying on your back, of course. And yes, he did come on the walk with me. But you can lay down with your legs up the wall. In fact, I may transition to that in a moment. You could also lay down in crocodile, which is one way of speaking about this position, with your head on your hands and your belly on the floor. I find this a very comforting position to be in, particularly in the dark of winter. And then this is another one. This is a pose that we often would take in yin yoga. And it can be a really gentle resting pose. So arrange your body on the floor or in a chair in a way that feels at rest. And release all effort of breathing. Release all muscular effort. Start to feel your senses relax and release their hold on the world. And release all effort of being. Stay at rest for about 10% of your practice time. So that's about a minute and a half for us. Rise slowly. Take your yoga with you. Take a few moments in a seated position. And I like to close with Om. Om. Shanti. Shanti, Shanti. Peace to you.
Peace to yours. And peace to our world together. Happy Yoga Day.